All right, folks, we welcome you back. It's that time again. Malzberg Panel. Where did the hour go to? And rejoining us are both panelists from last hour, former Congressman Pete Hoekstra, former head of the House Intelligence Committee, and Kevin Jackson, radio talk show host and author of The Big Black Lie. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey,
good to be back. Excuse me. Okay, welcome back. All right, let's, I was just here with Sonia Nasseri-Cole, a very brave lady, very emotional she got over the role of the treatment of women in Afghanistan. She said that right now, Congressman, Afghanistan is up for grabs, and Pakistan is in play, Putin's in play, Taliban. What do you say?
I think she's absolutely right. Everything's in play. It's all about this strategy from leading behind. There is no U.S. foreign policy at this point. It's kind of being run. It doesn't surprise me. I'm familiar with the U.S. Senate, how slow they act and how they do a lot of talking but don't get much done. Take a look at it. Our foreign policy today, our leadership, quote unquote leadership, is run by 4 senators: our president, our vice president, our secretary of state, and our secretary of defense. That's a pretty scary place to be.
Well, what I would say to it, oh, I'm sorry, Pete, I don't know if you were finished or not.
No, go ahead, Kevin. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, what I would say is, when you look at how Obama has look at our foreign policy in terms of its effectiveness. We've got Arab Spring, turmoil throughout northern Africa and Egypt. You've got Putin practically mooning Obama in the Ukraine. Quite honestly, the policy of, and Pete called it leading from behind, but it's really a policy of weakness. And the world is noticing this. You have countries that Barack Obama called Iran tiny, and it essentially claimed there was no threat there, and these guys are about to get the bomb. He's got Putin having to negotiate weapons of mass destruction for him with Syria. Nobody cares, and I heard someone say this, I'm not sure where, but the idea that when the United States shows weakness, the world suffers, and that is a fact. When we were under Reagan, you could visit places. Quick story, when I was in Egypt, they actually said to me, I asked them, why do you treat blacks from America different than Africans? And they said, because you have an American passport. We fear you. That's not the case today.
They don't fear us and they don't respect us.
Yeah, Congressman, one of the myths about Hillary Clinton is that she, what's the terminology that they use? She reestablished our standing in the world during her time as Secretary of State. And first of all, our standing in the world was torn down, if it was, by the left-wing media in this country and nothing else. We always had a coalition when we were in Iraq and everywhere else, so that myth that we acted alone is ridiculous. But if anything, our standing in the world took a sharp dive, especially with our allies, our immediate good allies, and our enemies, like Iran.
Oh, no, that's exactly right. We had allies across North Africa. We may not have liked them or some of their characteristics, but North Africa, as Kevin said, there was stability. It provided a steel curtain between Northern Africa, radical jihadists, and Southern Europe. That is gone. You now take a look. Our best ally in the Middle East, Israel. They don't trust us. For almost a year, the Secretary of State engaged in, quote unquote, a peace process that was going to sell out Israel and placate the Palestinians. You talk about Europe. There's no one following us. We're leading from behind only because we're not leading anybody. When the president or the United States turns around to see who's following us, at this point, there is nobody there because we've been a terrible ally and we've been a terrible leader.
Well, let me give you guys some information here, and this is from the Israeli Hayam newspaper. That the State Department said yesterday, and I didn't know this, maybe you guys already knew, that it's in the process of unfreezing $450 million in assets, Iranian funds that have been frozen. Why? Because the IAEA said that Iran is keeping its side of the nuclear draft that they signed with the United States and the Western powers. So, boy, they're behaving so well. We're already lifting some of the sanctions we imposed upon them.
See if I detect a bit of sarcasm in your comment. Of course,
yeah.
Look, you know, it's so funny, and I'm going to tell you, I've got a correspondent right now. He's in Poland, and he actually interviewed Poles. We're about to post this video at some point here in the very near future. Having a little problem today with it, but the gist of it is this. He went to schools because he's an athlete. He plays professional football, and he went to schools and he was talking to kids. And he starts out his conversation saying, America, I'm from the greatest country in the world, is the way he starts his conversation. And he heard mumblings in the school from these kids, and the kids were like, he doesn't look Russian to me. Now, I tell you that because that is the prevailing thought going on in the nation, in the world, is that the United States is no longer what it used to be. And it wasn't under Bush. It's come under Obama. Now, the left hates hearing that, but it's a fact. And whether it's Iran, the reason they're loosening this money is the only power that we still manage to maintain in the world is around finance and around the giving of money. And I think what you're going to see is Obama giving even more money, a la Gaddafi, and still being a laughingstock around the globe.
And Congressman, it's on every level. Everything that is happening now is obviously it's happening under Obama, whether it's our standing in the world falling apart, Russia doing what it's doing, Iran getting away with what it's getting away with, economically here in this country, jobs going bye-bye, women out of the workforce, the equality in pay between women and men, which is bogus, but it's what they claim. The irony here is that it's all happening during and after 5 years of Obama. They can't blame it on Bush anymore, and they can't blame it on the Republicans because they only control the House.
Well, I disagree with you, Steve. You and I probably do agree they can't blame it on President Bush.
They will.
But I'll tell you, over the next 6 months leading up to the midterms, they are going to do everything they can to bring back George Bush and to blame it on him and, you know, how they dug out of this massive hole. You've already started hearing some of this as the president tries to start framing his legacy. They're going to blame it on Bush, but it was tough under Bush when we came out of that administration. But this administration, the Obama administration, hasn't moved us any further forward, and our world standing and our economy has deteriorated because of his policies.
Well, and what I'll say
Kevin,
also,
let me ask
Steve,
you, wait, guys, I want to switch real quick. We have 2 minutes left. I'm disturbed by this report yesterday that from the Wall Street Journal that John Boehner and other senior House Republicans have been telling donors and industry groups and commerce groups that they're going to get immigration reform passed this year. They're going to do it in the summer before the elections. It's going to happen. I find that very, very troubling, Kevin.
Oh, it's disturbing because it's not even these guys should be leading on all of the things that Obama's doing, but instead they're following in lockstep. And I think that they're proving that Republicans these days are truly Democrat-light. And let me tell you, that the Tea Party and the grassroots movement may be in lockstep with them right now with respect to having to capitulate because we can't just let the liberals take over. But there's going to be hell to pay. If they do that, there's going to be hell to pay in the long run.
Right. Congressman, is this the plan?
No, it's not going to happen, Steve. You know, I was part of the class of 93, 94, 95. We do have leadership. I have a lot of respect for Eric and for John Boehner, but they're not going to be able to take that caucus where that caucus doesn't want to go, and they're not going to hand this president an amnesty immigration bill before the election. It's not going to happen, and they're not going to do it in lame duck either.
Gentlemen,
I hope you're right.
Have guys, I got to go. Have a very happy Easter. Thanks for sticking around for 2 panels. We'll speak to you next week. Thank you very much, Congressman Pete Hoekstra and Kevin Jackson here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Bill Crystal joins us when we return right here on Newsmax Television.
We don't just talk about the news. We talk to those making news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.